Hey food fans, welcome to Cooking Like a Pro with Chef Cal and me, Mrs. Chef, his wife Christa DeMercurio. We're dishing out culinary intuition, insights, and imagination to spice up your meals and make cooking more fun. On today's episode, my chef husband and I discuss the ways to prepare for holiday feasts and how to pace yourself for pulling everything together on time, especially for Thanksgiving next week. Let's dig in. Today's episode was broadcast and recorded live on AM/FM radio.
Welcome to Cooking Like a Pro. You have found us. This is Chef Cal with Mrs. Chef Christa, and we are just happy to be here.
Hello.
Actually, this is your Thanksgiving headquarters. You know, and I think that what we see out there is that a lot of people get intimidated because they're not chefs. Maybe they're not even home cooks. But then you have that added let's call it stress of having the family over. And so you also have the stress of a larger group. You also have the stress of many more sides, which are traditional.
And it's stuff that you a lot of times only make once a year, maybe twice a year.
Yeah.
Stuff you haven't been practicing all year.
But there are some fun things you can do. And this is one of the things that I like to think about is how to mix it up so it's not always the same. So maybe you want to do a Thanksgiving that's inspired by the foods of Italy, right? I mean, you can still do roast pork. You can do a nice risotto, maybe put some truffles in there with your cream and, butternut squash or, tiramisu or panna cotta instead of, the old pumpkin pie. How about a seafood Thanksgiving? Follow that one. Just a whole roasted fish. Branzanos are great to roast whole, but so is a salmon. And then, something a little lighter. I think sometimes we're looking for something a little bit lighter. Of course, crab, season is, they keep putting it off. It's my mom's, she's not happy.
So when does crab season usually open? We're talking, cold
now.
water crab. But it's not open yet this season?
No, Mom told me that and Mom's a crab person. Okay, because we still go get our own crab when we got our own abalone and everything else.
Well, a lot of times we'll use it in Shapino for making chili at the end of the month.
Yep, and that's a holiday tradition and treat as well. But from what I understand, it's actually been pushed off to the beginning of next year. But how about Tex-Mex Thanksgiving? Carnitas, enchiladas, and you can even use butter squash. I mean, if you want to make it like an enchilada or without meat. Butternut squash is a great sturdy vegetable you can use. And for that matter, if you want to do a vegetarian Thanksgiving, stuffed acorn squash, it's, all those things that you would normally use that, wild rice, which is, the majority of the wild rice is grown right up here in Fall River in Northern California, but cranberries and nuts and things like that. So, there's a lot of different directions you can go. It doesn't have to just be the Thanksgiving. And I did have a friend call me. And I know I'm hogging the time here, sweetheart. But he said, we have 35 people coming, and how do we do 2 turkeys? Because their oven's only big enough for 1. And you remember, on a turkey, you're going to get about, pound and a half is going to be a portion. So if you get a 20-pound turkey, that's going to give you, your 15 portions, but let's say maybe you have 18 or 25 people coming. You can buy just a turkey breast and roast off a couple of those. They're going to cook a lot faster, and you can roast your turkey and then put the breast in a smaller pan, maybe down underneath it, and but they're only going to take like 45 minutes. But that's a great option. You can't really go get dark meat, okay?
Real quick, I did look up the crab season, and yes, it normally is open beginning of November, but they're saying January.
Yeah, that's what Mom was saying. She was pretty sad.
All right, Google confirmed it.
All right, so what we have for you folks, and this is free, okay? This is free. All you have to do is go to Culinarily Yours.
Okay, everybody, right now, stop what you're doing. Go to your computer, go to your phone, go to culinarilyyours.net. At the very tip top, there's a little red banner of something free. Free to download right now, right this second.
And you are going to want this. So even if you're an accomplished chef, you're going to want this. What this is a meal planning and prep toolkit. And how many pages is this? About 10?
Like 6 or 7.
Yeah. Anyway, but it's got everything that you need for Thanksgiving, and we're going to be going through it. And we use these for everything.
prep guide.
Yeah. This planning guide is free. If you can go and download it now or just follow along at the next segments that we have, we're going to be covering it from front to back. And it's really going to help relieve the stress of the holidays and hopefully help you be a little more organized and enjoy yourself a little bit more. So, Cooking Like a Pro, we'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back. Cooking Like a Pro, Chef Cal and Mrs. Chef Christa. So we're going to go through, as we spoke about, this meal plan and a prep. And this just doesn't have to be for Thanksgiving, as we mentioned. It can be used for anything. But this will,
this is how a chef thinks. When we have a meal coming up, we walk through everything from beginning to end back to beginning to make sure everything is going to flow and the timing works.
Yeah, and the reason to do this again is just to, it's okay to have a little bit of anxiety and excitement about doing something, but you don't want to be worried about it. And you certainly don't want to be stressed. So anyway, the very first thing I always ask when I'm doing an event is what time food is being served. Because you back up from there. That's what we call the drop dead time. That's the time everything has to be ready, and that's where you start. So it explains that, what time, the very first thing it says, what time is dinner going to be served, because everything is built from that. And then the second thing to consider is, and this answers the question that we had last week on how do I get everything to come up at the same time. And you do that by figuring out which of those items are going to be for that final stretch. And these are items that are going to be prepped. Perhaps your green beans are blanched, so they're, 3/4 cooked, and all you have to do is season them and bring them up to temperature. So that's going to go in that last minute thing. While your turkey is sitting out, maybe your yams and your, whatever else is going into the oven, if you're doing like a green bean casserole or something like that. So figure out which of those items are going to be at the final stretch. And then just set your pace and time yourself to where you give yourself plenty of time. I think that's really the big thing is people aren't cognizant of the fact that, well, okay, where am I at here? And then they feel like they're running behind.
And don't do everything the day of. Do not do the day of.
Yeah. Actually, this here starts about 4 days. I think it's 4 days before.
Well, the last page is Thanksgiving, and it starts a week out, and it starts all the way from writing
the menu and
shopping.
Because you got to get your turkey and you got to thaw it out.
Yeah, that's right? The big meal, but most things you're going to start 3 days out.
Yeah, and if you get something frozen, no problem. Go grab it a week out, throw it in your fridge. Let it thaw out slowly. Anytime you can thaw your food out slowly, you are dramatically increasing the flavor of it. And I can give you a couple of examples, but it's just like, thawing out shrimp underwater. What does all that water going down the drain taste like? It tastes like shrimp. There's been a flavor transfer out of your protein and into the waste. Same thing with anything else you're thawing underwater. So you don't want to thaw things with running water. Certainly that happens. When you're, if you, in the restaurant business, we call it like when you're in the weeds and you just gotta, but get something thawed out quickly.
And so like shrimp, if the turkey's like 5 days out, shrimp you could probably do the day before.
Yeah, day before. It's not, it depends.
It's not as big, not as much.
It depends on how it's packed also. Because some things are packed in blocks and then some things would be packed, loose. They use the term IQF.
IQF.
Yep. IQF. What does it stand for?
Oh.
Individually
quick frozen.
There you go. Individually quick frozen.
You got to prep me on these things. Come on.
Anyway, start planning ahead. Create your menu. Also consider what are we going to delegate. The chef runs the kitchen, but the chef doesn't prepare all the food. I guess if you're just a lunatic chef or you're maybe fairly insecure, I don't know. I prepped a lot of food, but I always had staffs. I say, okay, I'm not going to go running back and forth making pumpkin pie when I'm trying to, knock out, a turkey and gravy and, the important things.
Yeah, you can. But if you've got people to help, use them. You need to have help.
Yeah,
so lower your stress level.
So you're going to delegate, and you're also going to be working across multiple days. As Mrs. Chef mentioned, this here has a page that you can, again, download for free that will tell you everything you need to cook and when you need to cook it. Not only that, it also includes a grocery list. It's got a blank grocery list that you can transfer whatever you want. You need cranberries? Go ahead and get them. Maybe you're going to be doing a pomegranate. relish instead of cranberry relish. Whatever it is that you need that you can do ahead of time, go ahead and put that on your grocery list. It's one of the downloads that's on here. And then just cruise right through it.
I think what's important is to do a doable menu. Don't go doing new things that you haven't tried before.
Good
Don't
point.
do things that are too extravagant, too detailed. Do things that you're comfortable with.
Yeah, that's a great point because, when I want to do something really, really nice, I make sure that I'm not going to make mistakes on it, so I do it ahead of time. We used to always call it, in the actual chef world, we called it making a picture plate. And every time we do a banquet, we would have a completed plate done well in advance. So everyone that was, on the line, running that plate down, if there was 6 or 7 people, everyone knew exactly where things went. And that all went by the clock. We actually have a clock that we've been working on getting folks to.
That is going to be, I think, in the vegetable guide.
The vegetable guide, yeah. Because you always look at the clock as your timing guide, and you look at the clock as just 1 through 12. If it goes on the plate at the very top middle of the plate, it's at 12 o'clock. Your protein, which is normally going to be
6 o'clock?
It would be closest to the guest, correct. Right at 6 o'clock, right down in front of their belly. And then just however you want to build things. There are lots of other considerations. The thing about Thanksgiving is mostly it's Basque style, or they call it Russian style service. It's family
Platters.
style. Yeah. It's just all there. You just grab what you want.
Family style.
Yeah. Well, we call it family style, but it Basque. Have you ever been to a Basque restaurant?
Nope.
Have you ever taken you to a Basque restaurant?
Nope.
All right, we'll have to do that. Basque restaurants. It's basically platter service. It's everything that goes in the platter. Kind of like our favorite show, Blue Bloods. They have their dinner. It's always a platter style. The food's there, and then they just pass it around and
as opposed to a plated service where everything is pre-plated and brought to the table.
Yeah. Well, and people might say you don't know if you want dark meat or white meat, or you don't know how much of this you want or how much of that you want. So, yeah, I think that it's a good thing. One of the challenges is I always want to taste everything, and sometimes remember a meal, folks. It runs around 35 to 36 bites of food. So that's how we break it down in the restaurant business. If there's a salad involved or a soup or, a protein, a main course, a vegetable, a starch, a dessert. So that's one of the things. The job of the chef is not to stuff people. You don't want the thought of them feeling uncomfortable, with the exception of probably Thanksgiving. but they'll wait for the pie until after the football game's over or something. But the job of a chef is to fill people, not to stuff them, because I don't want the last thing they feel is being uncomfortable because, they have to unbutton their pants.
Okay, here's an important point. If you're doing everybody getting their own food, put smaller spoons in the dishes, because the bigger the spoon, the bigger the scoop.
Yeah, a spoon is a scoop. Okay, so I've come across that many times in the past.
So for me, when I do Thanksgiving, because we've got 15, 16 items sometimes because we're doing potluck, I'll take like a tablespoon of each and do it all the way, like a pallet on my plate. I don't do a big old full-on scoop like you normally would at a regular meal.
Yeah. And also eat fast. Remember, it takes your brain about 20 minutes it takes your stomach about 20 minutes to tell your brain you're full. So if you eat really fast, you might get 50 bites in before you're, But anyway, 35, 36 bites is what's considered normal. So
including dessert.
Kind of pace that out for the entire meal, yeah. Okay. So a lot of restaurants don't serve very many desserts because you're full by the time. Not only has it already been 20 minutes, you're full. You've had your allotment of swallows, and as much as you want to have dessert, it's painful. It's painful to think about, but that's why dessert's good next day too. But table coordination. Now that's something you can get done ahead of time. Are you going to have a runner? What type of china are you going to use, or plateware or flatware? Is everything going to be throw it in the garbage, or are we really pulling it out, grandma's nice china? So figure out what you're going to do. Centerpieces, placemats, anything that you can think of. Get that done ahead of time. And I'll be honest, I'm going to let Christa speak to this because, she's like a I mean, some days I come home and I don't even know I'm in the same home because all of a sudden, spring shows up and it's just.
Did you notice Christmas showed up last week?
I noticed it's starting to show.
Yes, Christmas is starting to show up in our house. But yeah, you want to, this can be done easily a week, even 2 weeks out, making sure you've got all your china ready, washed, your dishes, your silverware, your glasses, all that kind of stuff can be prepared so much further in advance.
You've got so many talents, but you've done a lot of floral stuff. And what advice would you give to people that are either calling down to a florist to get something, or they're going to make something for the center table? Because a little floral decoration, I think, is good. Makes sense.
Keep it low, unfortunately, because I love tall, dramatic arrangements when you walk into a room, but unless you don't want to see the person sitting across from you, you need to keep it low. Yeah. Nice and low, and sometimes even long. If you have a long table, you can do low and long.
Mm-hmm. I hate that when I go to a restaurant, there's this thing that's blocking the person next to you. I just take it and move it off the table.
Well, and sometimes you don't even need to have a traditional center piece. You could have little settings at each particular place setting. Mm-hmm. So you could have your place card and a candle and maybe a little floral arrangement. It doesn't have to be something big and gigantic in the middle of the table. And
you can also put that dessert fork away, up around 12 o'clock on the plate, but just off the plate, but up at 12 o'clock. And then maybe you also put a coffee cup up there. I mean, so the stuff that they're not going to need, go ahead and put it in front of them, but that way they don't have to get cluttered. And I don't know, I've been to enough restaurants in my day where there was, an 18-course meal and every course had a different silverware.
And you don't have to preset the entire table. You could have a dessert station on a different little card table off to the side. It's got all the dessert plates, the dessert forks, your coffee cups. And it's ready to go, but it's not there in the middle of the table all night long. Good point.
So have that tableware coordinated. And when we get back, I want to talk about something else that I think is really, really important that a lot of people overlook. So we will give you that information when we can come back in just a moment. And you have found us here again at Cooking Like a Pro. Back in just a moment. Welcome back to Chef Cal and Mrs. Chef Christa, Cooking Like a Pro. And what I mentioned going into the last break was some of these things that we don't always think about. And again, this is great information. Please tell them where they can get it again.
Go to culinaryyours.net. At the very top of the page in the red bar, you can click on getting the guide and get a quick, easy download.
Free.
For free.
Doesn't cost a dime.
Free.
Just for the paper you want to print. If you want to print it, which I would, because then you can use it to write on. Because again, like I mentioned, that there's also a list in here for your grocery shopping. But music and ambiance, and this is something you can completely set up ahead of time. Get yourself a playlist that matches the mood or the audience that's going to be there. Maybe something old, something jazzy with holiday tunes. I know Christmas music. Sometimes, I don't know, you don't want to get family arguments, but, Song of Christmas music starts the day after or before.
You can bring up the Hallmark channel that's got the fireplace.
You can't do that.
With the kitties and the puppies in the background.
Okay. Yeah, but we're watching the football game.
Yeah.
Okay. So a playlist, something along. Again, the basically what we're looking at here is your ambiance. Okay, in the restaurant we used to do that. I remember DeMercurio's because I wanted to smell like food. So I would saute up some onions and bell peppers about 2 minutes before 5 o'clock when we opened. Nothing smells better than mushrooms or onions and bell peppers when you saute them. I saute them up with a little bit of garlic, and then I would just bring the pan. I just walk around the dining room 2 or 3 times, and as soon as people opened that door, it was just wham.
Smell it.
Yeah. So you smell the turkeys, but along with that playlist, things like lighting. Are you going to have candles? Are you going to have overhead lighting? Can you dim it? You want an ambiance that's warm and inviting.
Okay, here's something I do before anybody comes over is I go on and turn a light on a table lamp in every single room. Because if you walk into a cold, dark house, it is not inviting. So that's when your electricity bill's going to go up just a little bit because of some extra lighting. But it helps create that welcoming environment for people to come into.
And another thing, napkin rings. And I bring that up because really cloth napkins get some cloth napkins or get some really nice, paper napkins that are going to make it through an entire meal, because, Thanksgiving is clumsy. It's a clumsy meal. You got all kinds of gravy dripping and cranberry sauce and glopping and, who knows. So anyway, so the decor. So again, playlist, lighting and the decor. Again, we mentioned centerpieces, garland's a good one. And a lot of times I think people will pull out the holidays, the stuff as well. And
also if you are doing candles, unscented candles.
Unscented, very much good point.
You do not want to clash with the food.
Yeah. That's why I used to have to, I had one particular server. I've had several in the past, but they smell like they bathed in cologne.
That's another thing. Don't wear perfume and cologne.
Yeah, and it's like, wow, I want to get the aroma of the wine, and I can, I literally knew when this particular server was showing up before I seen them. Serious. Yep, so-and-so's here. I can smell them. Guest comfort. Here's a list of things. Again, this is all free. You can download it. Please do. You have whether there's invitations or whatever the communication is going to be. I know right now that, so often for many of our events, we use those things online where people can sign up. What are those called?
Like
Evites, and imagine there's
just
probably
a group text even.
So yeah, your invitation, so you know how many people are coming, give or take.
And let them know if it's casual or a little more dressed up, or, if your house is going to be warm, maybe they shouldn't be wearing a wool sweater.
Dietary and nutritional concerns is one that I always think of when I do an event, because, if you're doing an event for maybe a couple hundred people, or a larger number of a group of people, you have a couple people that are allergic to this, or, maybe they just flat don't like something, or maybe they, it's a celiac. Maybe the gluten's going to get them. So make sure that if there are any, for example, seeds in anything, let everyone know that there's seeds for anyone that might have a problem with, I don't know if they're older or something like diverticulitis or something like that. I mean, there's a lot of things that you just want to be careful what you eat.
Just to suggest something, I just saw at Trader Joe's the other day. You know me, I love Trader Joe's. I got this from my mom. If somebody is vegan, vegetarian, they have a butternut squash lasagna that looks. Oh, I got that. I haven't tried it yet.
Thank you for not saying they have a turkey, tofu turkey.
No, but if you need an emergency backup vegetarian dish, they do have one there. It's a butternut squash lasagna. I thought that's interesting to have on hand.
Okay, so anyway, so the timing again, we talked about that when we were back earlier about, everything being coordinated.
To let people know when to expect we're going to eat, arrival time. If you're going to have some amuse-bouche, some appetizers, drinks beforehand.
Oh, come on. You can't say amuse-bouche without telling people what it is.
Oh, amuse-bouche. You're going to amuse the mouth.
Okay. Just say a d'oeuvre or a tea sandwich or a bite-size. Something bite-size. Something they can whet their appetite. Remember, festivities start when food starts flowing. I can't tell you, over the decades, I've seen people sitting in chairs across from one another, and they're staring at one another, an older couple. Nothing happens till the bread gets there, or the soup gets there, or the beverages get there. It's just something that, they have something, and, a festive drink of some sort, whether, alcoholic or non-alcoholic. There's a lot of really nice punches that you can make. I know we used to make that one with sherbet. I can't remember. This is like rainbow sherbet and 7-Up or something like that.
Yeah, rainbow sherbet. I think cranberry juice.
Yeah.
Maybe some orange juice.
Yeah. Well, now, my grandpa's no longer with us, so I can say this, that he was, making us grasshoppers, when we were still knee-high to a grasshopper. So grasshoppers was always a family tradition, and it's just it's a great drink. It really is. It's cream de mint, which is green cream de mint. They have white, but you want green cream de mint, white cream de cocoa, and then just half and half and ice, and just blend it, and it's really good. It's really good.
It's a minty slushy.
Yeah, and they may have wanted the kids to go to sleep. I don't know. But anyway,
you also have like nuts and olives and crackers, things, little nibbles to appease appetites before the main meal comes about.
And here's one. Were you thinking of this, folks? Because again, it's on this list that you can get for free. Where are you going to put the guest coats? Where are you going to put the bags? Is there a place? Because if it's the weather's anything like it, if it's inclement.
It's raining squirrels and monkeys here now.
Yeah, so I want to make sure that you have something for that. A designated place they can put something. The temperature, 72 degrees. You have a thermometer, a thermostat. That's like the perfect temperature.
And then also, the more people that show up and the more cooking that's going on, that's going to increase the temperature. So you might want to start a little bit lower, and as people come in, it will warm up.
And very few ovens that I've ever seen do not have some sort of a venting system. We call it a hood. Make sure the hood's on. Pulling some of those the high temperature out. I mean, the hoods in a restaurant are ginormous. I mean, they're like as big as a garage. Okay, so very, very important.
Depending upon your house, I mean, some places we've actually cracked the windows a little bit just to get some ventilation and cooling because it does to get so warm.
Yeah, so seating, and just think about one thing that's kind of, I don't know, for Thanksgiving, but it's always nice to kind of take a break. I like when I've gone to restaurants and, you eat for maybe an hour, hour and a half, and then you can kind of get up and walk around outside and through the rose garden or through, or something like through the kitchen. We've been blessed to have been to a couple of those places. So, you can take a break. Just, say, got to kind of do what people enjoy. So the kitchen, tools, equipment, make sure you have those. Those are all written down here. Wonderful. I mean, from your serving spoons and your dishes, make sure you have your extra kitchen space. Make as much room as you can in your refrigerator for people that are bringing foods over beforehand. Make sure your table is big enough, so you have enough chairs.
Now, if you don't have enough refrigerator space, you can have ice chests.
Yeah.
Filled with ice, ready to go. Little baby refrigerators on hand for you, so they can bring over their salads or their pies.
Well, it's cold out. It's cold outside. You can.
If it's cold outside, you can put them out in the garage. But if you don't have that opportunity, you just you make your own little refrigerators using an ice chest.
Okay, and then cleanup and logistics, to have a strategy for dishes. We're going to scrape everything in Fido's dish, wherever it's going. All the plates are going to be stacked. There's going to be a hot water thing sitting in there that I can put all my silverware in. So just be ready, make sure your dishwasher's emptied if you have a dishwasher, unless your dishwasher's named Chef Cal. But, be ready so the breakdown of the meal, doesn't cause any challenges. Everyone kind of just jumps in and does it. And then, of course, a big part of that, not just, trash and, of course, recycle, but leftover packaging. Have some plastic bags, have some Tupperware, get some in it. Go to the dollar store and get yourself like $10 worth of Tupperware, and you're good. And maybe different, like, Tupperware that has several compartments to it. So you can, give them a little bit of everything. It depends. You can go get yourself some styrofoam containers, but you can
get inexpensive take and toss stuff. Usually most grocery stores, those ones that we get with the little blue lids, you can get a bunch of those, and and then it's kind of a take-home gift because they can continue to reuse them, but they didn't cost an arm and a leg.
So anyway, again, culinarily yours.
.net,
and then there's a banner. What color? You said it's red?
It's kind of a pinkish reddish
color.
Yeah,
pinkish red. You just click on that, download this. We're going to be back in just a second, and we're going to give you the piece de resistance, of the last of this meal prep guide to help you for your holidays.
Greens,
Cooking
potatoes,
like a pro.
tomatoes, lamb, rams, hogs, dogs, chicken, turkey, rabbit, you name it!
Welcome back to Cooking Like a Pro. We appreciate you tuning in again and listening. Back to this planning guide, folks, again for the holiday season, especially next week with Thanksgiving coming up.
We are 1 week out, people.
Yep.
1 week out.
Yeah, we have a beverage service information on there. Again, we mentioned the grocery list. There is information there on choosing the right wine. I don't want to go into that. This is really where I wanted to camp. Okay, this is it's a really great tool, and this tool you need to. I print it today because you're going to start using it tomorrow. Yeah.
Even if you don't use the rest of the tools in the toolkit, this is the one that you need.
And it's going to start you off. It's just you're finalizing your menu, maybe even who's responsible for what. Write out your shopping list, which we are providing for you. Clean out your fridge to make room as you go through this week. Organize your pantry. Reviewing what's got on hand and where you can make space, but also if you already have, a can of yams, then you don't need to go and buy another one. So that's all you do on Thursday. Okay, now what are they going to do on Friday?
On Friday, because you now know what you need to go buy because you filled out your shopping list and you got your fridge and your pantry ready, you are going to go shopping. Head to the grocery store first thing in the morning before the crowds, before the food disappears, and start stocking up.
Yeah, or even late at night. I just not when everyone else is there. I mean, I've gone shopping at 2 in the morning. I mean, you go to a place like, whatever, Winco, something that's open, all the time. But, get their hours of operation. This
time of year they're going to start restocking throughout the day, all day long.
Yeah, so, if you're going to go grab something, you grab it, again, just times when the crowd's not there, which of course is generally early morning, or later in the evening. And then on the next day, Saturday, which is that's this coming Saturday, you're going to move the turkey from your freezer to your refrigerator and slowly defrost that. Okay, you want that to defrost for days, not hours, days, 3 to 4 days. It depends. I have to give you a variety simply because I don't know how cold your refrigerator is, but give it 3 to 4 to even 5 days. Oh, you can tell just by touching it. if your fingers give, then you're ready. And this is also a good time for some of that, like if you need extra tables or chairs, it's a great time to get those and just have them on hand, maybe sitting on the back porch or something.
Yeah,
so that's
might
Saturday.
Have to ask other friends to bring things over, and extra card tables, extra folding chairs, things like that.
Well, you need a kids table, right?
I think that's the adult
table.
table.
Is that the old way?
I like to say
we always had a kids table. It was a big thing in our family when you graduated up from to the big people table, and you weren't on the little people table. So
I remember my nannies. There was a round table in the kitchen, just off the dining room, and all the kids got to eat in there. We had our own little personal dining room. Well, all the adults were in the big dining room.
Well, see, that's a great way to look at it. Okay, so that was Saturday. So now Sunday we're going to gather up our linen, our napkins, centerpieces, wash and iron anything. So you're not doing that a day or two before. Make sure you got all your plates and glassware, basically everything that would fall into the definition of tableware, everything on the table. So okay, so now we're on Monday, the Monday before Thanksgiving, this coming Monday. What are we doing on Monday, hon?
I think we can get that cranberry sauce going.
Yes.
Any salad dressings, chilled desserts, if you're making compound butters for the turkey, honey butter for your rolls, anything that's going to be prepared and kept cold.
Yeah, and everything on there are all items that have a shelf life of, a week, if not more. Some of it several weeks, like compound butters and even salad dressing. So you can make those, get them out of your way, whatever it is you're going to do. Then on Tuesday, you're going to you season your turkey. By now, your turkey should be thawed out. You can do a wet brine if you want to add some seasoning and flavorings to it. You can do a dry brine, which is the same thing, except you're just rubbing it on there. It's not actually being immersed in liquid. You don't have to brine a turkey. The only thing I would recommend, I wouldn't brine the turkey if I knew I was going to use a compound butter, because that compound butter is going to go underneath the skin. And it's going to add so much flavor that I don't even know if the brine would take much. But you can, if it's a dry brine inside of the cavity, and that would depend on whether you're going to stuff it or not. So,
well, can you, if you do an actual brine, wet or dry, can you still put the just a straight butter in there underneath the skin?
Flavor butter, yeah. That's the three most important French ingredients. Are what, Christa?
Butter.
There you go. Butter. You can make your pie dough. You're a couple days out. That's going to be fine in there. You can even peel and blanch your sweet potatoes. If you're going to make a bread dough that's going to be yeast, I'd probably save that for Wednesday. But you want your dough to have that extra day.
No more than 2 days out. 2 days is fine.
Yeah.
It will develop more flavor. And you'll usually do it just a little bit less yeast because it does have the time to do that. But if your Wednesday is going to be packed, just go ahead and do it on Tuesday. Yeah. You can even freeze it and then just defrost it the next day.
Okay, so we're going to roll through this. In our last 4 minutes, we have Wednesday, which is cut and prep your vegetables, remove the turkey from the brine, pat it dry. You can use with paper towels on that. Make your dressings, make your pies, desserts, chill your beverages. Find out what beverages you're going to want. Arrange the seating, arrange the flowers, the final decor. Have breakfast and lunch. Well, I don't know if you're going to have lunch. Depends on what time you eat Thanksgiving. We usually eat Thanksgiving at like noon. So it depends. But if you're going to have something to eat, maybe just have a simple breakfast item that you can snack, or maybe something you can put in the toaster.
Yeah, because you don't want to wait till 5 o'clock and then have not eaten or drank anything all day long.
Well, also, if you're in the kitchen, you're eating the whole time because you're tasting. And, if you're tasting, then, by the time dinner rolls around, maybe you're already full. But anyway, so we're on the day before still. But, stay hydrated, get some rest, get to bed early. Generally, Thanksgiving's a fairly early day. For me, it always started at 2 in the morning when I was in restaurants. I used to just absolutely love it. There's no one out at 2 in the morning. It's quiet.
What time did you go to sleep?
Oh, we did go sleep. And then Thursday. Okay, so Thursday's Thanksgiving, so I'll let you start on that one. And the way she's got it broken down here is there's what you do 8 hours ahead, 1 hour ahead, 30 minutes ahead, 10 minutes ahead, and then after the meal. So remember, everything starts at that meal time.
So whatever your time is, start backing it up. You're going to need the time that's going to take to cook the turkey. You're going to need the time it's going to take to rest the turkey. It's going to take the time to pull the turkey from the fridge and let it set out before you bake it. And then you've got to get everything ready even up to 8 hours earlier. And get that oven on. The oven is pretty much going to be on all day.
Yeah. And hopefully you have the right racks you need, especially if you're roasting a turkey. And like I mentioned earlier, roasting some breasts. If you were going to put the yams in there to get a little color on those, mashed potatoes are generally going to be up on top. And now we're down to 1 hour out. So we're going to pull our turkey out at 1:55 and allow that to continue on. And then we're going to take that stock and all those drippings. We're going to make our gravy. So that's going to be. That's critical time there.
This is kind of when you start kicking things into high gear.
Exactly.
Everything's prepped. Now it's like, okay, it's go time.
Yeah. But you're way ahead because you've been doing all this stuff all week before. So, you're going to do you're going to put your rolls in the oven, get those done because those can sit for a while. And then assemble your appetizers. And now you're on 30 minutes out. What are we doing at 30 minutes out?
Everybody's going to start showing up, get the candles on, turn on the music, and have your drinks ready to when they arrive. And give them little appetizers they walk in the door.
Okay. Well, the only thing I would change on that is I don't know how often everyone in our family's on time.
Well, that's why like a start,
including me.
Starting a half hour out. That half hour is kind of that window where things just start happening.
Yeah, and then so you're ready to go. You dress and toss your salads. You cut your turkey or carve your turkey. It's really easy. Just take the breast off the top of it. The thigh and the leg you can generally just pull off with your hands if you've got some gloves, latex gloves rather. Again, anything that's chilled can be pulled out. Your rolls are all ready to go. Dish those up. Transfer everything onto your serving dishes. And boom, you're ready to go. And then after the meal, you just want to store and cool down those leftovers. Label containers for guests to take home. Relax and enjoy. So, folks, this is an amazing, completely free meal planning and prep toolkit. Go to
culinarilyyours.net.
Yes.
Click on it across the top to get the guide now.
Thank you so much for spending time with us. Until next time, we hope you'll be cooking up a storm in the kitchen. So we'll be with you again next week with food, flavor, and fun right here on Cooking Like a Pro podcast.